Guess it's time to get started then. I'd like to call this meeting to order. First thing, discuss and possibly approve minutes of June the 3rd, 2021 special meeting. Motion?
Second.
Second, okay. I guess we need to approve it, so call for a vote.
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes?
Nance.
Yes.
Okay, discuss and possibly recommend city attorney to draft an ordinance outlining snow removal procedures. Motion?
Second.
Okay, Buddy, you wanna talk about that? I guess,
Yeah.
Kim wants to talk about it too, I'm sure.
What it is, I'm just looking for something to, have on record, or whatever, for these people that's doing it as a side job, or even if they're doing it as a full-time job that they do, for they'll be held responsible for the removal of a material off of private property, pushing on the city property, where it causes us, not only traffic, if they push it out in the road or on sidewalks, where, if we don't get around where we're able to, remove the stuff that we push up. But it's something, I don't know if there's something where they can be, have to have a permit or something, be registered up here, to have insurance, because if they tear a sidewalk up, they tear a curb up, somebody's gonna have to pay for it, and that's kind of what I'm looking at. Like tree trimmers, they got to have insurance, permit, things like that, and, if they're out here making money, it's just, if they push it out, they need to be held responsible to either remove it, or they need to keep it on the private property that they're removing it from. That's what I was looking at.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Ritchie?
I think it's a good idea. I had never thought about it.
Either.
But yeah, I could see we'd need probably a license to be issued, and in order to get the license, they need to have some insurance for whatever. And we need to prohibit them from pushing it out onto public property, I guess.
Well, we've had it in the past, not this time, but time before last, where, it was pushed out in the road and piled up, and it was piled on the sidewalk, and, I know there's probably not a lot of people that's walking out there at that time, but still, you're blocking the walkway, so. Yeah, that's.
So what would we do? We'd just prevent them from stacking it on sidewalks or stacking it on right-of-ways?
On city right of ways, or city easements, I don't know if that's the way you could go further that way.
Also, any damage to curbs, sidewalks, or anything like that, they'd be responsible for paying for it.
Mr. Chairman, can I speak to this?
Sure.
So when I look at that from the perspective of a private business, let's say that I'm RCB Bank or I'm whatever. Well, there's a snowstorm that has come in, and I need to try to get snow and ice removed so can open the next morning. So I place a call to the guy that I normally use, but the guy that I normally use is not available. So I place another call to somebody else. Yeah, he can come out and do it, but he's not licensed. He's not permitted. So, Mr. Ritchie, that would perhaps present a problem for a business owner. Not that the business owner would not want to take care of their responsibility, but those logistics sometimes would not lend themselves to getting a license or getting a permit before the fact. I completely agree with doing something to establish an ordinance about not destroying or impeding public property. So if there's a way that with wording in an ordinance that we could deal with that situation, I think it would be wise to consider that business owner.
What if we permitted it? And if they were gonna clear off a certain area, then they had to get a permit. Not necessarily that the permit would have to be expensive or something, but at least you would know who was in charge if they broke a curb or if they ripped up a sidewalk or something like that, who was gonna be responsible for paying for the damage?
Well, right now, if somebody broke a curb or ripped up a sidewalk, it would be, I assume that it would be that private business owner's responsibility. He hired someone to come do that,
And they would have to work it out between them?
and I suppose. I agree with establishing an ordinance, but I also think about the logistics of how that might work in those circumstances.
Bonding, I don't know, insurance and bonding, is that where we're having a glitch?
Yeah.
That'd be the thing, we'd be having a glitch. If,
Have we had that happen?
What's that?
Curb get torn up or
Yes,
sidewalk?
there has been some, of course, I know a lot of problems, I won't, not throwing any blame, but I know there's a lot of state trucks that comes through, especially like I said, if you look out west of town, when they come do their final plow, there's a lot of curbs and stuff, but there is, I'm not putting any blame, but we cleaned up this one pile that was sitting over off of Pryor Street, we come back and there was a curb that was broke. You see that it was hit and that it was popped off, and,
I just don't know. I mean, that's one
Mr. Young?
occasion that you can recall, so maybe that's not that big of an issue.
I mean,
If
there's
we
some
just
businesses
keep-
we can go to and say, hey, who did you have do this here? And try to get in contact with that contractor or whatever. But, like I said, if we had to listen who it was, we have numbers that we could call and, insurance, like I said, covered, because like I said, if the only way to do it, if they didn't have insurance and they're not gonna pay or whatever. Cause that's like a night when all this comes in, depending on what time it's here, there's a lot of it comes out late at night and does it before our daytime gets here, so there's not. But that's the thing, I just think it needs to be some type of responsibility held on their part for this, and,
Can I make a remark?
yeah, and I think Mr. Young wanted to also.
I just want to make a remark that, I know you're talking about hiring people, stuff like that. What about the business owner that's going to do it himself? You want to make sure that you got that in there too, to cover, any damages that they may do, even though they're not hiring it, they're doing it themselves, and yet
If we made it
they
the,
still need it.
if we made it the responsibility of the business, and then they would be responsible if they hired somebody to do it, to make sure, to work it out between those two individuals, either the business or the person that, removed it. How could you write an ordinance that would do that?
We have a curb cut permit that's no charge, just for record who does stuff, basically. That's the way I see it. If you wanna go to curb cut, you get online, you fill out the paperwork, it gives you a number, you submit the number, you're done. So there's just a record of it, right there, somebody's done it. And so the permit is, you got a permit. I recently did that on curb cut permit, so simple process, that way, the street department knew that I had a curb, cut a curb, and, if there's any other damage right there, it was done.
I don't understand that.
What happened was.
You put a driveway in or something?
Driveways, when I did the driveway,
You gotta have
curb, and I
you
needed to
gotta
cut
have
the
a
curb.
permit to put a driveway.
Well, now, all I wanted to do was cut the curb, Ken, to put a drainage from my house, off my house, put a drain, like a French drain coming out of my yard, I'll put on top of it. And so, we have what we call a curb cut permit, because I wanted to drain that onto the road, okay? So I filed for a curb cut permit and got one, and that's what I did. So, to me, I'm responsible now, if anything happens, I'm responsible for that, because he's got a conduit. So I'm responsible for it because he went damage to the curb or
But it
anything else.
doesn't have to be approved by anybody, you just fill it out
Just fill
online,
it,
it's
it was
automatic.
it's automatic. What I got was on it with no charge, it was automatic.
Or for information only.
Just more information on it, in case something gets tore up or backed up, that's what I use it for, yeah. That's what I-
Gosh, how are people gonna know about that though?
Oh, I bet there's a bunch doesn't.
How,
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, the snowstorm comes in, is it gonna snow, not gonna snow? I mean, that's what you're talking about. So in the morning, we have 6 inches and everybody's scrambling, trying to get their lights cleaned off.
Mhm.
So you're calling Bubba, cause he's got a front end loader.
Mhm.
Yeah, so, we'll have churches who will have, you know,
Volunteers.
volunteers, you know, come in, they might come in with equipment and, you know, do something, so.
And nobody knows about being able to get online and fill it, even if we had that, they don't know about it, so they just
Well,
do it.
And they're not thinking about cutting curbs anyway, you know, they're just accidentally ran into them with a tractor.
But I'm just in a permit right there that some record, you know, if you found one that broke, he'd know who did it.
And you're talking about curbs on the street is what you're talking about, cause curbs around a private parking lot, that's their deal.
Yes.
We're also talking about sidewalks.
Sidewalk.
Yeah, sidewalk.
Yeah, popping sidewalks up would be a,
And like I said, it's not really so much, I guess you say, was the damage, it's just the areas where they put their debris at. I mean, it's kind of city right away, and with what we're trying to clean up, and then it's just adding extra work, and, I mean, it's costing the city more to remove that snow too.
So as far as damage being done to curbs, I mean, you really don't have, like, maybe one instance that you can
Yeah.
recall that was a private individual. Maybe we just better off just to do an ordinance that doesn't allow stacking of snow on sidewalks and right-of-ways and forget about the permitting thing on cleaning drives.
okay,
If it becomes a problem, then,
then we'll have to go further into it.
yeah.
Well, if we had something like that where, I mean, if I would say something to somebody, you know, a lot of times, well, you know, well, who are you? Well, you know, try to explain to them what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
But if you see something happening where you could call an officer, code enforcement, or somebody and say, hey, you know, I'm having this problem over here, you know, can you come over and address it? You know, that way there we've got an ordinance that can be enforced at that point. So
For pushing snow on our right-of-way or
Yeah.
something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Let's do that.
What about a public information, some sort of put something in the paper? Well, that don't get to everybody anyway.
The ordinance gets published, put it on the
I
website,
was-
put it on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually listening, but I was looking on my phone. There's a couple cities that have ordinances that say you cannot put snow onto city. Now, it's a lot of them are up north, but I don't see where it says you have to get a permit, but this is like in Minnesota that it's actually against state law. It says to put snow back for ice back and city ordinances.
Well, see, this is like the state highway. When you go east of town, or even west of the sidewalks, or see when they, I mean, then again, you're dealing with the state, see, when they plow, I mean, they don't care where it goes.
Right.
It's completely covered,
Yeah.
you know, until we're able to get around to do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
It'd also be important, we pass an ordinance, it'd be important that we distribute that information appropriately
Right.
to businesses, churches, or.
Public service announcements, things like that, yeah.
Of course, as a church, I'm looking at it the other way too. I'm usually cleaning up what the city put in my lot more than I do. I mean, that's the truth. I don't mind because they got my street clean, so I'm happy about that. But where I'm at over there across from the ER, like it's piled up right there between us where Dr. Nunley's was. That's just a big old pile of snow and ice right there, which it's a necessary evil. Across the emergency room,
Well, see, we didn't do that.
yeah. Whoever's going through there,
Well,
it's
when
every year.
When we plow the roads off,
Yeah,
we come through with a backhoe, and we open up the entryways.
yeah.
But I mean, again, you know, it's like we've told people before, if you don't want it plowed,
No, it's a necessary evil. I'd rather have the streets done and me have to deal with that.
but if it was
Yeah.
plowed up, now, I mean, now if they cleaned the hospital up, now that could be
It
that
could have
somebody
been.
was doing that.
They could have backed it in there. Yeah.
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 So, if that was one of the instances that was done, probably where you're talking about, that's where that last time it was piled up was right there. And it
Yeah.
was coming off the hospital,
Yeah, could have been.
so.
Yeah.
So you have about everything you need, Mr.
I
Ritchie?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so moving on.
Do you need to vote?
Oh, call for a vote.
Nance,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes? Thank you. Okay, discuss possibly recommend council action regarding an ordinance limiting usage and parking of commercial vehicles, recreational vehicles, trailers, and mobile homes within the city limits of Pryor Creek. Motion,
Second.
discussion.
We looked at this previously and needed a couple of changes, and I noticed a couple more changes. I was sitting there. But, so let's look at the one that's got the grid on it first.
Okay,
And all that does is it allows it, if you look at the second page, that P means permitted and S means by exception. And so it
Okay.
would be permitted in, all the commercial districts and ag and industrial. They have stuff like that.
mm-hmm,
In all the residential areas, no, wouldn't be allowed unless there was some kind of special situation that they could address with the, P and Z.
oh, this is on the roadways, right?
Do what?
This is on the roadways, right?
Roadways.
Or like beside their business or whatever? Or is this actually,
It's anywhere.
It's anywhere.
okay,
Then if you look at the ordinance, which is the other one, the changes that we made were from what we looked at before. Were that anything that was parked there had to be behind the house.
mm-hmm,
Couldn't be any closer than the setback for the house.
mm-hmm.
And really, that's the only change that you guys may have made to that.
And also, inhabiting, travel trailers and things like that. We had a deal that if you had overflow, like during, holidays and things like that, that you could,
7 days,
mm-hmm. And that's on your second one?
you can do it for 7 days. So
There it is.
If grandma and grandpa come in and want to
Sure.
park their motor home in your driveway, they can do that
Mm-hmm.
for a week.
Okay. Is that permitted or not permitted? We talked about getting,
Doesn't have to have a permit.
okay, good enough. Because we had talked about that.
And I included storage trailers in there because somebody brought up pods.
Mm-hmm.
And, so we've got storage containers included in that.
Okay.
We got a lot of people wrecking commercial vehicles in town. Lots of them. Lots and lots. On Ninth Street, especially where they park it alone.
You looking good?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, call for a vote.
Shropshire,
Yes?
Nance.
Yes.
Okay. All right, next one. Discuss and possibly recommend council action regarding adopted into the Unified Development Ordinance, ordinance number 2018-13, amending Title 10, Chapter 1, Section 1, amending Section 10-1-1 of the City Code of the City of Pryor Creek, Mays County, State of Oklahoma regarding creation, composition of the City Planning Commission, providing for the number of members to serve, compensation for the members, manner of appointment of the members, terms of the members, and ex officiato membership of the city's building official to the Planning Commission, and providing for repealer and serviceability. This act updates the UDO to reflect the actual wording of the ordinance. Motion?
Second?
Okay. Discussion.
All this is correction typo? Yes. Sterling codifier caught? Is that who the caught is?
I think Cheryl caught it.
Cheryl Carter,
Yeah,
Sterling
'cause
codifier?
Because it deals with her
So
boards.
they've given us an ordinance doing
We,
that?
in the UDO, they left out information that is in the,
But I mean, we have an ordinance that we're talking about right
Yes.
now in form,
Not in form.
or I just need to change it?
Just need
she hasn't marked on here.
Oh,
what-
okay, okay,
What got left out and shouldn't have been left out.
all right,
So you can keep that if you want.
so we can make those changes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We've had to do that in the past on certain things, on the deal.
Well, fine, we'll just take the action.
Take the action, clear it up. That's what this is, 'cause it already, UDO, when the UDO passed, it was a regular lengthy thing, some things got left out, I'm talking about, but omitted, left out, so.
Mhm.
It's a working process, it's always, and so, and it always will be. It's a living
right.
We can do that.
Okay, you've gone over it, right? I have too. Haven't seen anything that looked anywhere out of the normal or anything. And the appointment is by either the council or the mayor, and then it has to be voted on by the council. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Call for a vote?
Nance,
Yes.
Shropshire,
Yes. Okay, number 6, discussion, possibly recommend,
What does this doesn't require an ordinance, this just authorizes you to clean it up, doesn't it? You don't really need an ordinance to do this, do you?
Yeah, we've gotta have an ordinance to change that.
Do you?
Yeah.
Because it's, all right,
Yeah, we do.
okay.
okay, number 6, discussion, possible recommendation, or recommend council action regarding adoption of the Unified Development Ordinance, ordinance number 2018-14, amending title number 10, chapter 2, section 1, amending, excuse me, section 10-2-1 of the city code of the city of Pryor Creek, Mays County, state of Oklahoma, regarding creation, composition of the city's Board of Adjustment, providing for the number of members to serve, manner of appointment of members, terms of members, the ex officiato membership of the city's building official, excuse me, and providing for repealer and serviceability. This action updates the UDO to reflect the actual wording of the ordinance. Excuse me.
It's always got cough drop.
This same thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's the same process.
Thank you.
Do you have one of these with notes on it?
I think it's with that, they should both be in a
Is it on
packet.
this?
Yeah, it should be behind that one.
Okay, motion,
Second.
discussion.
That's the same action as it was on the one before, and that's in your packet.
Mm-hmm. You good with that, Mr. Ritchie?
Yes, sir.
Okay, call for a vote.
Shropshire,
Yes.
Nance.
Yes.
Okay, scheduled the next meeting will be April the 4th.
April 4th.
So- What's the date?
That's a Monday.
Mhm.
Okay.
You good with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Adjourn.
Somebody I know, oh, yes. Somebody I know is turning 50 the next day, so I
Uh-oh.
had to make sure.
And the next day's our council meeting.
I may not be there.